What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more classical music. And we're going to listen to a piece from Saint-Saëns' opera Samson and Delilah, shown here or included here on a Best of Saint-Saëns compilation from Naxos, a label I've described in several of my previous classical reactions. Now, I did mention, I think, at the end of the last part of Bach's first cello suite, which the version I listened to was performed by Yo-Yo Ma. Number one, I mentioned during that I had some very early Yo-Yo Ma CDs. This one's from 1980. Look at the baby face here. So we'll come back, and this is also Saint-Saëns cello concerto. So we'll come back for that one. I did also mention we were going to listen to some overtures by Rossini, probably in my mind the absolute master of the overture form. We'll come back for those as well. But the other day I was reminded of the tale of Samson and Delilah, which in turn reminded me of the wonderful piece from his opera, Saint-Saëns, being the Bacchanale. So this is a raucous piece, as you might expect with the name Bacchanale. It has a very Near Eastern, what we now call the Middle East or Western Asia. There's a bit of that feel to it. So yeah, it's just a really incredible piece, and it culminates in one of the most dramatic and pulse-pounding sections in any classical piece I can think of. So let's get to it. And for the record, this is performed by the CSR Symphony Orchestra from Bratislava, and it's Stephen Gunzenhauser, Stephen Gunzenhauser is the conductor. So, yeah, this is the Bacchanale from Saint-Saëns, Samson and Delilah, performed by the CSR Symphony Orchestra of Bratislava and conducted by Stephen Gunzenhauser. But this piece has to be one of, if you're a timpanist, this is one of your go-to pieces. This is one you get excited for. With the water imagery, it makes me think of waves crashing against a steep cliffside or something.
feels like things are getting increasingly dangerous, tension-filled. Which, if you know the story, paid by the Philistines to try to figure out Samson's weakness. She couldn't do it. Eventually he figured out, or he told her it's his hair. And then things really get crazy. Though again, at the same time, this is obviously part of a larger opera which tells the full story. But it's hard not to hear the story in microcosm in this piece, is I guess what I'm saying. Is about to flip up his collar or her collar, as the case may be. Very galloping section. Well, I hope you're ready for it. We've arrived at one of my favorite moments in any classical piece. Just masterful. Again, not only did I listen to classical music from a very young age, it was probably the first music I remember hearing because my dad remains to this day a big classical music fan, and
a lot of my collection. Certainly this one, not the other two. This is definitely one that I would have inherited from my dad, but a big part of my classical collection is just essentially straight from my dad, who, over time as he's continued to buy more, has let some of his older collection go to me and elsewhere. So yeah, ultimately, not only did I enjoy classical music from a very young age, but given my emerging musical taste as a kid, which, people will know Depeche Mode was an early favorite, who, again, another musical part of my life that has remained consistent. But I enjoyed a lot of their energetic tunes, and a lot of the stuff that I remember from the 80s really capturing my attention had some energy and drive to it. So classical pieces, which had that quality, energy, power, drums, those tended to get my attention. So, maybe some people remember, I think in the 90s, or maybe it was the late 80s, there was a couple compilations that were called Classical Thunder. I don't know if it was like Time Life or someone, but I think they were pretty popular, and I remember a number of people getting them. And I remember thinking, like, I already know a number of these pieces from, their proper, like, setting, the actual symphony or the actual opera, as in this case. But I really enjoyed and appreciated that concept that, like, hey, like, for those of you who might think that classical music is all just soft and mellow and it's going to put you to sleep, you might be surprised. I always point people to Verdi's Requiem Mass and his Dies Irae. I've never been sure how you pronounce that. But if you think classical music is always just soft and mellow, I always point people to that one. And this is another one that, like, hey, listen to the end of Saint-Saëns' Samson and Delilah, Bacchanale, and tell me that that is something that could put you to sleep, because I'll call you a liar. But yeah, really cool performance. Big shout out to the CSR Symphony Orchestra in Bratislava, as well as Stephen Gunzenhauser. And yeah, as I said, my plan is to get some Rossini overtures in. We'll listen to Saint-Saëns' cello concerto by a very young and fresh-faced Yo-Yo Ma. But I probably will come back for some more of this Best of Saint-Saëns disc. I'm currently looking for it somewhere in my collection. I have a Carnival of Animals disc, which it's a really good recording. I don't know offhand the conductor or the piano soloist, but I'm a big fan of that piece, as well as some of the pieces in particular in it, including the Aquarium, which I think for a lot of people who know the Carnival of the Animals, that's maybe the favorite tune. I do like the Lion, which starts it off a great deal. So if I can find that disc, which I say because I went through my full collection earlier and it didn't come up. Now, with records, that happens sometimes. You're flipping through, and the one record you're flipping through, you might like flip past 2 or 3, and oh, by the way, that's where it was, and you spend another hour looking for it. So I'm thinking it's still in there somewhere, but admittedly, when I looked for it earlier, I couldn't find it, because once I knew I was going to react to this, it was like, well, maybe let's do another Saint-Saëns, but I couldn't find the Carnival of the Animals. But that is on the not too distant future classical menu as well. In any case, let me know what you think of this performance and piece. I will see you next time. Peace.